Hello, hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're going to work on a very simple page, but it's a very uh, multiple use page, I guess you could say. I tried to see if anybody else had done it, so we're going to do it. It's going to be a cut out belly band. Wait for it, wait for it. Okay, we're going to look at the sneaky peek first. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming to spend a little time with me today, and I hope they enjoy this project today. It's pretty easy, but as you'll see, it has a lot of things that it could be used for. And okay, so let's look at this and we'll get to it. This was some kind of a chipboard cutout of some sort. Someone sent me, I believe, in Happy Mail. So I had painted it up with some gold paint and just left it at that. I had done some gessoing on the back side of this paper here. Or it was one of those bag papers, you know, the back side of this one. So I went and did a little stamping on it. I have a little bit of gift wrap. That's the dot, the gold dot there. There's some leftover collage paper from Tim Holtz back there. I put a gold strip of ribbon that I cut off at one point and never did use. So it's underneath of the lace, and it kind of peeks through and glitters for you. I've got a button over here. It's sort of a gold tint to it. A little label up here. And I must have smeared a little bit of this gold on the background. but overall, you know, all those layers and pieces and parts give you a look. It just builds, you know, and gives you a story. I don't know what this story is. Mostly it's centered around flowers and lace. And it goes with this other beautiful lady. She's my other favorite one that's out of the portrait packs. Now, on the back side of her paper, oh, she's a fold out. Oops, I forgot about that. Her paper, I guess was it? Oh, it's an envelope. It's an envelope. So I had taken and did a little stencil on the back here. That's the one that has lost and found and the numbers, which go kind of different ways. I've got more of this gift wrap with the gold dot to tie it in. You know, you want to keep them kind of going together. And this gorgeous lace here, I cannot find it anywhere else. I'm sure they used it for weddings and stuff, but I thought I got it at Walmart long ago. But it has the same look as this one. There's a little bit of something here that has to do with flowers, I think, and that's why I put it there. Someone gave me a, what would you call that? An acetate heart. And then I put this little rose with the pearl in the middle. Then when you open it, oh, I did do a little stamp up here. It looked like the roses coming in from the side. This is another one of those cabinet cards that Jody gave me. And it even had the stamp on here about where it came from. I don't exactly know where that is. It says Bruckstein 15. That may be Germany. This here, I think I put it on there backwards. I think I didn't like the other side as it was too dark, so I flipped it over. It worked. So we have a little bit of lace behind them, then a little bit of lace up here. I had these from someone, and I put a little label on top. And then over here with the envelope, that was from Marta. We did some kind of an online kind of class, and she gave these things out. This was a piece of Tim Holtz vellum. I had stamped a daisy on a piece of paper one time, and then I did some dipping when I had put some ink on my tray and just kind of colored it up. And then I just had it in my tray for a long time. So you can prep things up and put them to be held to the side. The part that got my attention on this envelope was this inside with all the flowers and lace. See, it ties everything in together. It had a white dot or a cream dot on this one part. It's got like a burlap look on the outside. So it was perfect. Perfect. Now this is one of them crazy cards I made. And I may link this one at the end so you can see it. But it was one of my identification cards. And I don't know if this was the ones that I called the I Spy, where I was putting a name to every one of the little pictures, and they were spies. I was having fun with it. Okay, so there's that. That was kind of interesting to see. And these, I've only added one extra page to each signature so far, but it was a piece of my deck, what would you call it? My deck dyed paper, where I laid it on the deck out there, and the board imprint came through. It was like a tea or coffee dyed. The nails also came through. I laid this part over the two sections that kind of met each other, so there was a nail on each end. I loved it. Okay, and I thought the brown kind of went with this shade, so it worked. So that's what I tried to do with each layer. And these two didn't really go that hot together, just the black kind of tied them in. So this was the perfect place to put it. So I'm going to pull this to the side. And then we have this on the inside. These were two pieces I glued together, so it's nice and thick. And I looked for this idea on, out there. You can hit the search button, and I assumed it was called a cutout belly band, because it's not exactly a belly band. It's a cutout of one. You'll get it when we get there, okay? Now, also, along the way, I just got this extra scrap. It's got keys on it, but it's got that gold foil. It was out of that same paper pad. Now, this is a little crooked, but we're not going to worry about it. I guess it was like in the book that way, or I cut it that way. Who knows? This is one of the Poe ephemeras that's out of that kit that I got from My Porch Prints. We're going to ink it up a little bit, but he's going to go inside. And then I've also got this that's going to go kind of in the center, you'll see. And we have another piece of Poe ephemera that I'm going to cut out of this paper. I love the card catalog here. Boy, remember those? And there's this great crow. We're not going to use any of this top stuff. We are going to use these two pieces. These were like, I guess you would call them like a bookmark. Everybody was gluing them both together and using them like a bookmark, I guess. So that's what we're going to do with them. And then I'll put the rest of this. And I have a folder. I have 4 of these journals that I'm making. So I have this folder that's got each one's items in it. This is my, what would you call it? My template one. So I know what's going on. And when I get an idea, I'll do it in this one. And then I'll follow suit in all the rest of them. Okay. And I thought I would continue with a few stories. I know you love those. So this story is kind of a wraparound of the one I was telling you the other day about my dad and where he was born. And this place was called Goshen Pass, was what we were always told. There's a little town there called Goshen, and the Goshen Pass, we used to go up there and swim all the time when we were young. It was a kind of a quick-moving kind of a river, but it had tons and tons of rocks. And it wasn't really any deep spots except in a few areas. So, little kids could go out there and kind of dabble their toes in the water and grab a rock if they lost their balance, that kind of thing. So it wasn't a very dangerous one, but you might want to have kept an eye on a very small child. I remember going up there one time and I found this bunch of rock. And it was like a green shade. It was a really odd green. And it looked like glass. But it was sort of, if you know what obsidian is, that's what I believe this rock was. It was obsidian. But it was green. and it was almost like a little nest of them. It was a whole big pile of them, and I've always loved rock, so I went and I gathered as many of those things as I could. And then I guess we took them back home, and I still have them out here in my rock garden to this day. I saved them in the basement for years at the house, and then I had my rock garden started when I moved up here, and I brought them up and put them in there. And the odd thing, you know, down there where they were at Goshen Pass, they were under trees, so they didn't get much sun. So I don't know if this was the element that changed them, but they start turning blue. And I'm telling you, some of them turned a beautiful blue. Well, it was in stages, though. Some of them started out as the green, and I had some rocks that were green and blue. So I know that was a process that was happening over time. And we're going to glue these two together while we're standing here and I'm talking about my rocks. But yes, they were actually changing over time, and they would start out a really deep blue, and then it was like turquoise kind of colors, and then they would come down the line and almost get to a pale white, or a bluish white. I mean, I've never had them go completely out of the blue range, but some were really on the lighter side, and it was just, they amazed me. They totally amazed me. All right, we're going to try to get these together as close as possible before this baby sets. And I've got my burnisher here that we're going to try to push the glue both ways to get it to go down good. And then we're going to wipe our excess off so we don't mess anybody else up along the way. And I've got a hole punch in here, and I think this is like the regular old hole punches. Now you could put a little ribbon or something in here. At this point in time, I'm not planning on putting anything in any of the holes for tags and such, but I do think I'm going to put in some eyelash lace. I have some under my table here somewhere, and I believe that will work for me. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this shut because we're not going to need in there anytime soon. But I'm using my scorched timber, you know. Oh, can you see all the gold on it? That was on there from me working with the last video, and it might eventually go away. I don't think it's hindering anything, so I'm not worried about it. I'm getting my ink. It's not doing anything that way. But it is, you know, hard not to cross-contaminate. Now I'm going to go ahead. I don't like that this is so white back here, so I'm going to grab, and I really wouldn't mind doing a little soft punch on the edges here, because I don't like that sharp point. Okay, so and we'll get in there like that. We're going to use some Vintage Photo oxide on this next part. It's up here somewhere. I just lined up all of my browns along the top. I'm going in very gently and just kind of scuffing. And I'm just scuffing around and trying to get that white shade out of there, because I don't think it goes with my color scheme. Not very much at all. Now you can also get in here, and if you got any little spotty stamps, or you can flick some goodies on there to age it up even more, that would be good. I might dig one of those out in a minute. And then up here, I might just kind of scuff that around up here to give it more of that brownie shade. Okay, but isn't isn't it appropriate? We have books, per se. We have a bookmark. We have this that looks like a little book, which that also needed to be inked a little bit around the outside edges and stuff. And then I have printed off over there when I bought the add-on kit for the My Porch Prince Poe digital that I purchased. It had an add-on kit, and it had quite a few of his stories. So I've got those that I printed off that we're going to tuck under our belly band as well. So now I'm going to just go around the outside edges. My cousin Phyllis, she loves this part. I don't know what it is about inking, but she absolutely loves to see people ink. And this is ode to you, Phyllis, for because I get away from the inking quite a bit, and I know she's just gnashing her teeth because she wants to see the inking so bad. So this is for you, girl. All right. I'm feeling a little better. I mean, I just got my medicine in me, so it's probably doing pretty good at the moment. All right, our little pieces and parts are all over here, and then I'll get my papers over there. Oh, let me pull them over here. You know me, I forget everything. Oh, and I forgot. I'm supposed to be showing you a picture of my dad. What was I? Oh, his masonry. That's right. Hang on just a second. Okay, now this is my dad. This is the entrance to a place called Hillcrest. It's like a subdivision. You go up here on these hills and go all the way around and everything. I'm trying to point, but my hand's not in there. Anyway, let me do it this way. So you go in this entrance and you can go up this way or you can go up that way. And it leads you up to all these houses and stuff. And some of our cousins and stuff lived up in there. But here was, and they got with Dad to build it. And this was a close-up of him at the wall. And then this, I guess he finished it right there at, it was still a little bit of snow, but I think it was spring that we went down to get a photo. And then there's the longer wall, as you see at that angle. And this is a church where you go in there. It's a, it's an outlet there for the church. And, well, that's not it. But I think it must be the 3 photos that I had. Yeah, okay, that's another. This album is called Dad's Masonry. Okay, now we're going to get to the cutting out part. And I think I figured out that I'm good with this being, what was it, 7? Or, no, wait a minute. I'm trying to think how big I wanted the opening to be. And at one point, I think I decided that 7 may be good. I think 7.5 might be too much, although this is very strong. Yeah, I might just go with 7.5. Let's do that. So that means, so it's 8.5 tall. And if we go down, I'm trying to figure out where to start it. Let me just go to the 8.5. And what I'm kind of going around is, I wanted to do a spine of one of the books, but I don't know that that's going to be working for me. Let's see what we can do, though. So I'm going to set it here, and I'm going to go from the 1/2 inch mark to the 8. And the way I plan to do it, now this is that Tim Holtz ruler that has a metal little bar there. And you take your X-Acto knife and you go all the way down through there with no problem. And I'm going to do 2 passes just to make sure I went all the way through. And then I'm going to move it down just a tad. I don't know if that's 1/8 of an inch or what that is. And then we're going to do it again. Now this, like I said, I looked for it. I didn't see anybody else that had a cutout belly band. So, you saw it here, folks. You saw it here. All right. I'm not exactly sure how far I want to go here. I might just go, I think I wanted it to be, it has to be wide enough to hold this bookmark. So it has to be at least to here, I'm thinking. Let me move down a little bit so I can get my half mark in. And, you know, we're just going to go all the way out. I know this is not dead center, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. You know, remember, with those pockets I was making the other day, they did not turn out exactly how I wanted them to turn out. But they turned out fine, right? So, you know, you might have a vision in your mind, and this is actually somebody else's vision and artwork that you're trying to redo or remake. But sometimes your mind has its own ideas, and you can't quite get your hands and your mind to create the exact same thing this other person did. So don't ever be sorry about that. You just have your own style, your own way of doing. So yes, don't ever, be sad that it's not that way. You've created something totally different. So yeah, I wanted to state that, because I know there's so many people that say they can't do this, they can't do that, but you don't always have to. You don't have to make it exactly like that person. You can take what they do and inspire a whole new look, which is great. All right, that's all of the cutting I'm doing that way, because I'm going to get in here with my little scissors and see if I can snip that all the way out, or if it's already falling out, which there we go. It was already falling out. So this is what I'm calling, and you're going to have to get in here. You've just exposed all the underbelly here, so we're going to have to get in here and ink along these edges just so they're not white. And then you're going to find out you do need to trim a few things. Well, back to the story with Dad at Goshen Pass. So I had got on my Facebook and I wrote up a little story about his namesake. So I told a little bit about my grandparents and things, and the family just enjoyed that. I mean, they have missed the stories just as much as you have, because I have not been getting on there and doing anything. So I've been promising I was going to get more into doing them a story, and then it'll probably be the same story you hear. So you won't be missing out on anything either. So anyhow, Dad told me that when they moved to Goshen Pass, and this was the one place that they had intended to buy, they moved there a year. It was a year before his birth, and then they lived there 4 years after his birth. Well, there was tragedy all over living at this place, I'm telling you. So anyhow, they moved into a little home there, a house, and it ended up that, and it was right before school season and everything. They'd settled in, and the family was getting all ready for school. And I think one of my aunts had said that they had bought all these beautiful, beautiful school clothes for them to wear to school, and then a fire struck. The fire burnt down the house. There was not much of anything to even find there, or to confiscate, though Grandma Rhoda did try to find a few things. And so at this point in time, I believe they went down, and it was fall, and it was getting into winter, so it was starting to be cold, and the kids didn't have hardly any clothes and all that kind of stuff. So they ended up going to live with this family just down the road. It happened that they had a farm, a barn there, and the neighbors, were letting them stay there until they renovated the barn up to a point that they could live in it. Okay, I have to change a little bit of my story there about the house. I was looking at what I have on my written report over there. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be cutting 2 little pockets, a little shallow pocket for the top and bottom. All right. So Aunt Reen said that the house was really big. It was a big farmhouse like you see in the movies. And that it had a big middle hallway, 2 bedrooms upstairs, big old kitchen on one side of the house, and something on the other, I forget. But anyhow, it was large. It was big and beautiful. And my Aunt Reen remembered a lot of living there, and she said when you plan to grow crops, when you moved in and planned on doing crops, the government would assist you. So they gave them 2 horses. Well, one of the horses was pregnant, so they ended up with 3. And then they gave them things like, let's see. She said they got beans and some dry things, but most of the stuff they didn't need. And they gave that to the neighbors. So, ooh, look, I got a set of keys right there. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to punch a hole. Yeah, trying to get it in the center. And close enough. And this one's actually going to be that way. It was upside down. Okay. They were really good friends with that family, and I believe their name was Hofstetters. And they what food that they didn't eat, and they ate pretty good. They had pickled corn, pickled beans. They had a smokehouse with a cellar underneath, and Grandma was always canning things and such. And so they did share because of all those children next door, which she had a lot of children too, you know. But anyway, you know, she was a kind-hearted soul and was always thinking of others. So anyhow, my Aunt Reen was looking forward to those clothes because Grandpa Cleve had said that they needed clothes for school, and she just loved them. But right after he passed, the 1st of September, 1936, the house caught fire. I think I made this a little too big. I got to trim it off. Yeah. So the house caught fire. It was just tragedy all around, I'm telling you. Because Grandma never worked. She'd never had a job. She was a housewife. And so she was trying to make ends meet with, you know, what she made or had. And she did have the older sons and things that I guess went out and tried to get a job and work and to bring in enough. Like I said, they were rebuilding the barn into a house and to live in after that. Well, they were on that government plan or something or loan, and the thing was they stretched it out. They were very nice to them. They stretched this out as long as they could because they felt for the family, because they'd had so many tragedies, and the house burned, and the father died, the breadwinner died, all of this. So anyhow, these government people were actually working with them, and it was right after the Depression, and so many variables hit at the same time. It's sad, isn't it? It was a hard life. I mean, they had everything, though. I mean, they had all the farm animals you could think of. So they had fresh churned butter and milk and all these kind of things. And other people that didn't, they were having to have, it was like a thing of lard, and they gave you a red peel. And Aunt Reen said that they actually did send them that, but they had the real thing. But they would play with that little peel. They said it didn't have any taste to it whatsoever. But it was to colorize the grease, lard, so you thought it was butter. You've heard of ration books and all that kind of thing. But they would buy what they needed at the store, the staples mostly. And yeah. Okay, I keep having to go over and looking at my story. Sorry. We got to make sure our bookmark actually fits in here. That's the only thing. I may have to trim it down some, which looks like it might be the case, because I made my area a little too tight. Either that or I'm going to use my magic wax pencil. Where is it? Come out of there. Alright, let's see what I can do with this little guy first. And if not, I'll trim it down a little bit on each side. Okay, the top won't be so bad because it's sort of a tilt to it. Whew. It is a tight fit though. I'm going to trim. Alright, let's trim. But yeah, I'm looking at my story, and they live there. I've got to go through my notes and stuff again because I'm not quite sure what happened. I understood they lived in the barn, but I think in my story over there, it looks like somebody may have tried to rebuild a house, or they just meant the barn became the house. I don't know. So, but they did actually get back into some sort of dwelling again. Let's put it that way. That's the easiest way to do it. So yeah, they did have a Christmas. It was hard, but the older boys, his dad was the last of 12, you know, so the older boys, they got together and wanted the 4 youngest ones to have something for Christmas. So what they did was they went out and got oranges and hard candy and a few, like a toy for each child. And so that's how it went about, that my Aunt Breen said that was the only Christmas she ever remembers getting any kind of a toy. Their mom, Grandma Rhoda, got Chinese checkers, so that's something that she could have played with somebody if they came through. So I'm looking at my little bookmarky thing here like this. Now, I wouldn't want to put anything on the top of it, to tell the truth. Now, when you take it out, you'll see the little skeleton. This tone goes really well with this, though they're not the same kind of book. So I like that. It may be that I come in here and put a word or something. I haven't decided on that yet. But we also have this. Now, the way this belly band would work. Now, if you have an envelope with a flap, or you have something like a double journal card like this, you would get up underneath of here and you would wrap it just like that. And you would be able to layer and wrap. Now, if you didn't want to put these little pockets here and something in the center like that, you don't have to. You could leave it with just something in there to give it a look. Now, I've also got these envelope or letters. Now, this one, it's an original MS of Edgar Allan Poe, Eulalie. So this is his letter, poem or something, Eulalie. So we're going to cut that out, and we're going to actually fold it, and we're going to tuck that in. Yeah, I still had a lot of his letters and actual works that they had in the Poe add-on kit that I hadn't gotten around to printing yet, so I thought that might be a good time to do that for here. Like that. And yeah, at the time they had their Christmas, though, my dad, he was only about 1 year old, so he wouldn't have really known anything. But they lived there for another 3 years at least after his birth. Well, actually, he told me 4. But she didn't have any money So they didn't pay anything. So they had so many months to pay this this debt off for the farm, and they just let her keep going along, and they didn't really make her move out until that last payment was not received, which, you know, they were giving her that long to get things figured out. Some of the older boys, you know, I don't know if they were really that old enough to... The oldest one, he'd already gotten married and had his own family to take care of. And then the other 2, 3 or so weren't quite old enough to hold a job to, you know, feed a full family, which there was a lot of kids to feed. So anyhow, I think they moved at that point down. Grandma's brother had a house down here closer to where I live in the next county and everything. So she got to move in there, and he kind of looked out for her for a few years. And so it wasn't so bad. All right, so I'm going to... It looks like it's like a 4-fold in it, but I don't know that I want to fold it that many times. I think I'm going to do it in half, kind of like there. Is that right? Well, yeah, I'm pretty close. And then I'm going to get in here with a vintage photo and kind of scuff up this fold just a little bit. Just, yeah, to give it a little bit of color. But we're going to put that underneath here, and it could be like this, and you got some of his writing sticking out. We can put this behind it, and it doesn't even have to come all the way through. Now see, you have this side as well that's going to have something showing or some way of displaying. And tell you the truth, that could be what we do. We could go this angle maybe. Would that work? No. It's not going to work because of the where the strips are at. Oh, well, that was a good idea. So we're going to go here with that, like this. Okay, so I'm done fiddling with it. So that's how it's going to look in the book. You have a few layers here. You've got our cut out belly band, which, like I said, you could probably do. And did I cut that crooked? It almost looks like it's crooked. I think it's the way this is. This is in here, kind of crooked. There we go. Much better. All right. But you have the option of tucking some things in here as you come along, or gluing something over it just a bit. Just depends. We'll figure out something along the way to use some more of the ephemera. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm kind of a little scattered today. I'm sorry. But yeah, I thought that would be an easy enough kind of a thing to show you. It's easy to do. You've got some scissors. You don't need an X-Acto knife. You could just cut it with some scissors. And make your own little cutout belly band. There we go. So everybody have a great, great day. Thank you for coming to visit, and all my subscribers and viewers. I appreciate you. You know, mean the world to me. Good friends. I made friends with a lot of you. So that's wonderful. So everybody, go out and have a good day. Breathe some nice, clean, fresh air. And just relax. Thank you. Bye-bye.